Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Autism Stories. I'm your host, Doug Bletcher, the founder of Autism Personal Coach. Autistic people are the true experts of the autistic experience, and Autism Stories is where we interview autistic people to learn from their stories, experiences, and get their insights. If you would like to be notified about each week's episode of Autism Stories, we suggest you subscribe on your favorite podcast listening platform. We would also appreciate it if you could give us a positive rating and review, as it will help others to learn about autism stories. On today's episode, Jason Brady and Cameron Allen join me to discuss being kinder to yourself and their film, The Neurodivergent Files. We hope you enjoy today's conversation. Jason and Cam, thanks so much for joining me today.
Hey man, no problem. I'm glad to be here.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, absolutely. And I wanted to start off by learning, Jason, where does your story in the autistic community begin?
I mean, from the moment I was born, honestly, but yeah, for most of my life, I had different difficulties growing up. I never got diagnosed until last year. So during those previous years, I was kind of just in this weird stage where I knew that some things that I was doing was a little bit off, or I knew that I was struggling with different things, but there was no outside help for that. It was all just me having to do trial and error to improve, my own qualities in life. So it was really difficult growing up. I'm not gonna lie, but I think around quarantine, I really started to take time to really look into it and really understand who I was and what I was dealing with overall. And so after doing research for a good year, I decided, I was okay, I'm probably on the spectrum a little bit. But I think that in summer of 2022, I got diagnosed, and the therapists were just oh, you're definitely autistic, da 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 da. They knew for sure that I was dealing with certain things based on what I gave them, my story, based on everything. So after that, that's when I officially started to claim to be autistic.
Now, I think it's always important for us to be kinder to ourselves. And I read where you said that you are the coolest autistic dude in the towns, and it's been a rough couple of years. But your family's, but you finally starting the journey to be kinder to yourself. What's been that process for you, or maybe a shift in mindset that's allowed you to kind of be kinder to yourself?
So just from talking to other people about their experiences, this as regular people, I realized that the things that I was trying so hard to emulate, and that I was trying so hard to just, do, chop off pieces of myself and all that type of stuff, for other people, they were just simply being. They weren't really trying to be anything else. They were really just doing what felt natural to them, and they were kind of free in a way. And so when I got my diagnosis and I looked back on the years that I was trying to, perfect myself and be so much more than what I was supposed to be, I realized that I didn't have to do all that. I didn't have to be perfect. I didn't have to do things that didn't really match up to how I thought and how I interacted with the world on my own terms. So after I made that realization, I was just okay, I don't need to be so hard on myself. I can make mistakes. I could go to a meeting and, stutter a little bit. I could have different difficulties with different sensory issues and actually get accommodations for that. I could actually change things to make things more comfortable for myself instead of having to restrict myself to make everybody around me comfortable all the time, which I still do to a little degree because I'm not selfish. But I think that overall it's important to give myself space to breathe and to express myself as freely as I can. So that's definitely the mindset shift that I've had recently.
And how's that kind of impacted your mental health since you kind of started making some of those changes?
It's been beautiful, honestly. I think before I was really really hard on myself for just everyday things. Cause I always felt like I wasn't doing enough, or I wasn't enough overall. So when I got the diagnosis, I felt like I was enough. I felt like I was okay to just, just simply be, to make my own mistakes and to evolve at my own natural pace. And so, yeah, that's pretty much it.
Now, the two of you just released the first film from Jamrock Productions called Neurodivergent Files. Why was it important for the two of you to make your first film about the neurodivergent experience?
I could go with this one. Well, when we started Gym Rock, I feel like the main thing that we wanted to do was kind of be relatable to our peers, kind of like give our peers a voice, have somebody that's speaking for them, and we thought that we could do this because it's something that Jason has been dealing with, his whole life. So he obviously knows about it. He knows his story, and it kind of gave him like the freedom to express himself and like I guess the freedom to like speak his mind about certain things. And I was just being there to be supportive, basically.
But yeah, as Cameron said, I just wanted to give other people a voice for the different mental illnesses that they might have, the different unique perspectives that they might have. Because I know that for me, like it was really hard to find things that I related to, even in like everyday media. Like I just never really attached to it all the time. But there were like few things that I would like see, and I'd be like, oh, this is kind of me. So I just felt as though like me and Cameron, making Jamrock Productions, it's gonna really help people to see themselves in somebody else and get like more reference points to who they might be overall.
And I'm always interested in the names of companies, books, things like that. Why Jamrock Productions? Where does that name come from?
Honestly, we just made it up on the spot. Like I know I'm Jamaican. I grew up in a Caribbean household, and jam rock is just like a Jamaican term. It's like saying Jamaica rock or something like that. You know what I'm saying? It was a term that just like floated around Jamaica. So I thought of Cameron's name. His name is Cam. I call him Cam. My name is Jason. So I just took off the C, put a J, and it said Jamrock Productions. So boom, boom.
And we're off, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Gotcha. So one of my favorite parts of the film Neurodivergent Files was when Jason, you were inside a school and there was a ramp in the building, and you rolled down the ramp. I thought this was a really great example of a way you could get your sensory needs met, a way to regulate yourself that people might not think of is, maybe socially appropriate. What are some ways you regulate yourself when someone thinks it's socially acceptable or not?
So first to answer the question, I feel as though in the moment when I was making that video, it kind of didn't meet my sensory needs. Like I kind of just did it. It felt right in the moment. You know what I mean? But looking at it afterwards, it more so represented that feeling of going outside and feeling like you're kind of like always making a mistake, or you're always at risk of falling, or you know what I mean? And so I remember in the video, I fell, I got right back up, I picked up my stuff, and I started walking as if nothing really happened. But so much happened, you know what I mean? And that's kind of what it represented. But back to the sensory things and what I do for myself, I listen to a lot of music. If I'm outside, like in the city in NYC, I'm always listening to music. I'm like rocking, you know what I'm saying? I'm bopping my head all the time, you know what I mean? Like it's just stuff like that that kind of like regulates me, because the city is so noisy. I don't know if you've ever been to New York City, but it's ridiculous out there, man. I remember last time I was out there, I couldn't even hear what my friend was saying. It was just like an ambulance passing by, people beeping their cars. It was just too much. But normally whenever I deal with that, it's just like with headphones and whatnot. But in other ways, I also, it's gonna sound silly, but I also chew a lot of gum. Like if people know me, they know me. I'm the gum person. Like I always have gum on me because I like to just chew and just I don't know. It just feels right. It just feels really right. And also another one way that I did it is just like I play drums. Like I've been a drummer my whole life, right? And people will. I remember being at like the lunch table when I was younger and just like I wouldn't be talking to anybody. I'll just be there, just like drumming away, just drumming and drumming and drumming. And that's kind of how I did it in the past, without really knowing that I was doing that to meet my sensory needs. I was just doing that because it felt right to me, and it made me be able to express myself and make some type of like organized noise in the best way that I could. And then when I was younger, I would do so much like little small things that I just used to do to like regulate myself. Like when I was younger, I used to just stuff my earlobe inside of my ear and just hold it there for a long time. And back then, I thought that I was just doing it because it felt right, but it also, blocked out noise as well. And, I had to stop doing that when I was in high school. I didn't want to get roasted. But it was just so many things like that were just like small things that I did without even knowing that I was meeting my sensory needs because I was just naturally kind of adapting to my environment. So yeah.
Well, I was born in the Bronx and I lived in New York till I was about 14. So, I was just wondering, like for me, the worst place to always go in the city was Times Square. I hate going
Oh yeah,
there.
I hate Times Square, bro. Oh my gosh,
yeah.
bro. All the
Times Square on a
tourists
bad day,
rambunctious out there, like it's too much. Mm-mm.
especially if it's like rush hour too. It's like around 5 o'clock. It's packed all the time.
Yeah.
It's like you can't even move like walking, like especially during the holidays. Definitely right. Don't go there during the holidays for sure. What? So do you like you take the train a lot? I'm just wondering about your sensory experiences with the subway and or like what kind of with the noise of New York, how you kind of manage that.
Yeah, so I live in Queens, so if I ever do go to Manhattan, it's like I take the bus ride, like a 45-minute bus ride, then I take the train, yada yada yada. But for the most part, I just have headphones. Like headphones really save my life. I ain't gonna lie. Like I love wearing my headphones, listen to my music. And also when it comes to like the music part of it, like my dad was a choir director, so I feel as though music was always something that I clung to make me feel a little bit more comfortable. That's kind of like home for me in a way. So yeah, definitely just headphones and just listen to my music.
And at the end of Neurodivergent Files, you talk about the importance of acceptance of one another so we can prosper, which I thought was great. So, being that one of you is autistic and one of you isn't, what's been the process of accepting each other's neurological differences?
Well, for me, I would say I really don't put that much focus on it because I've known Jason for I don't even know. I feel like it's been 8 years now. 8 years, and I didn't know about this until I would say probably like a year and a half, 2 years ago. So it's like I already developed a good friendship with him, and we already like related on a bunch of different other things. So it was really like there was no need to bring attention to that. I mean, I was always a supportive. I would say I was a supportive friend, like from the beginning, when there was something to talk about, when he had something on his mind about it. But like, I would just talk about him, like talk about things with him like it was a regular day, just treat it like it was a normal day, just treat him like my friend, like I did before. So it's really all about just, I would say, just being something, just like I don't know, not bringing negative attention to it, really.
Yeah, that's pretty true for the most part. Like our friendship was more so organic. We met naturally. It wasn't like I got diagnosed and I told him about it and then we kind of like developed a friendship. It was already happening. So at that point, we were always just like, in tune and in touch. But at least from my perspective, when it comes to just being respectful of other people's neurologies or whatnot, I just try to make sure that I'm not doing too much to the point where like I'm saying like really graphic, disrespectful things, stuff like that. I try and like just be as respectful as I can to the comfortability of the people that are around me. And that's just like a natural thing for anybody that I really meet. So that's kind of what I do with my friendship with Cameron as well.
So when I learned I was autistic within the last couple of years, it seems like it's always like, should I tell this person or not? What kind of what went into the process for you, Jason, to like feeling comfortable enough with Cam that like you wanted to share? You felt like I can share this with him.
Low key, Cameron was also a part of the process of me learning that I was autistic. I kind of I remember at the time I was just asking my friends like random things about, how they experienced the world. And I kind of compared that to how I was experiencing the world. I was getting some real empirical data about it. And just based on those questions and based on those things, he helped me to understand more that I probably was autistic, based on what I was experiencing versus what he was probably experiencing, as well as my other friends as well. Yeah, so I felt pretty comfortable around Cameron. Whenever I have a friendship to this level where it's like I know them for 8 years, like I feel like we're always locked into the point where I feel very comfortable telling them whatever. But also, what got me more comfortable just like with the term and applying the term to myself, because I don't feel like the term is like something that's completely me. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm Jason first, and then I'm autistic. You know what I'm saying? So in order for me to feel comfortable with the autistic label, like kind of like attached to me in a way, I kind of use social media for that. Like, if you've seen like my IG post when I was talking about being kind to myself, that was kind of a way of me getting more comfortable with the idea of it, to the point where, people who followed me, people who knew me from a childhood, like they all kind of got the message that I was autistic at the same time, just through that one post. And also, like on my IG story, I talked about different intricacies and nuances that came towards my autistic diagnosis. It's based on just sharing that information. Like I feel like I've been more comfortable overall afterwards.
And how can people learn about Jamrock Productions beyond this interview?
Now you got it.
So we have right now we have an Instagram page and a YouTube page as well. And Jason handled all that. He does great with the social media things, and so we're just gonna be recording more films over the summer, releasing them soon. We actually have one that we recently recorded. We have that on the way. It's almost done. But we're just going to be releasing more films just about different topics that we can find to like relate to different people.
Yep. And me and Cameron are also on IG and our personal pages. My name is Range Brother J. I'm also on TikTok as well. If you look up Long Live J, you'll see my profile. I talk a lot about music and autism as well.
Yeah, and my profile is New Day Vintage. I do a lot of photography, and I'm starting to do videography as well.
His photography is amazing, honestly. Like if you look at the pictures, like his top tier, bro. Top tier.
Thank you, bro. Thank you.
What types of films or projects do you hope to? I know you said you're kind of filming something now. What kind of things do you want to like work on with Jamrock Productions? Kind of what's your vision?
Right now, I would say just kind of similar to what we did with our first film. Just like I guess like a lot of role playing, I would say, and just kind of just putting ourselves into different situations where we could speak for other people. I guess that would take a lot of different research because it's not going to be just about what we deal with eventually. It's also going to be about what different people deal with and like us trying to learn about that as well. But I would say it's just mainly about issues that people aren't really like comfortable speaking about. And we just want to be that voice for different people.
Also, whenever we do make the films and whatnot, it's honestly really organic. Like we kind of just like come together, and then whatever we feel or whatever comes up in the moment kind of just like becomes a part of the video. So I think that, a lot of it's going to be kind of just like expression for us. But also, as Cameron said, we're going to be looking into different people and how different people like kind of experience the world and try and just like, bring that out as well. Like not just from our perspective, but from other people's perspectives as well.
Yeah. And just to add on real quick, as you said, it's like everything that we do is really organic, really natural. So I don't know, there might just be a random video in there just one day or something like that. Just something random. I don't know. That's kind of different from the norm. Like with my photography, like Jason was really helpful with me building my photography, and like all the times we would go together, it would be like a natural thing. We would just go out one day and just take random pictures. So it could be something like that where we just take a random video and just post that for the public. It's just, I don't know, it's just what we're feeling in the day, I would say. The ideas just really come off the top of our heads in the moment.
It's so interesting too. Like we'll be just doing something, like we'll just come together and be like, oh, let's just like I got this idea, let's do it. And then afterwards, I would look back on the video and I'll be like, yo, this touched on way more than I thought it would touch on. Like it hit so many levels at the same time that I just didn't expect it to hit those many levels. Like like people were reacting to like the first film that we made, and people were like really like they were pulling things out of it that was personal to them. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it wasn't just what we put, like, we didn't like structure it in a way for them to like, take specific things out, but, everybody could take something from it. And it was always very, what's the word? Just, it's a lot of levels to it, I guess. Yeah.
I guess it's a little bit like how we were talking earlier about like you rolling down the ramp and how I took it to like a sensory thing and you were like, nah, that's not exactly what I was thinking.
Exactly. But you're open to your own interpretation as well, so it's all good. So yeah, that was perfect.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's really just about what other people think, what like our viewers think about the project. It's really not entirely about us. We also want to like be open to the public and I would say I would feel like Jason does this too, but like I enjoy hearing the different perspectives about different people's like viewing points about the projects as well, just like their own different perceptions of it.
Well, I appreciate both of you. Thanks for making the time to talk with me today.
No problem.
Thank you,
It's
thank you
fun
so
being here.
much.
Thanks so much to Jason and Cameron for the conversation. To watch their film, Neurodivergent Files, please check out the link in the podcast description of this episode. Here at Autism Personal Coach, our clients are the experts, our coaches are the guides. The majority of supports for autistics are not very helpful. They try to fix us, not support us. That's why many are confused when we say our clients are the experts, experts of their lived experience. Our clients are the experts for what's worked for them and about the things they need and want in their lives. Our coaches first listen to their clients, then ask questions, offer resources, and strategize with our clients so they can get what they need to thrive. Would you want a guide in your life to coach you to get the things that you desire? If so, then visit autismpersonalcoach.com for more information. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Autism Stories, and if you did, if you could tell a friend, foe, or anyone you know about it so they could have the same enjoyable and educational experience as you when listening to Autism Stories, it would be very much appreciated. Until next time, I'm Doug Bletcher of Autism Personal Coach. Talk to you then.